Hey guys, what's up? Vicky here, and today we are going to talk about artificial intelligence. Well, it's an elaborate and complex topic, and given that of our scientific progress has arrived, at least we are far enough where we have created models and prototypes that seem fairly intelligent. I mean, every artificial intelligent machine, algorithm, program that we create, it's a result of our intelligence, human intelligence, and the intelligence that we create seems to have hit a roadblock, and that roadblock is really a roadblock that's the capacity of a thinking machine, which also includes our brain, to be independent, and to think generally. I agree with I agree with the Elon Musk. I agree with the Elon Musk that one day machines will be out of our control. I mean, it's bound to happen one day. Feel well if you are eventually going to create a machine with a mind of its own, then one day it will seek one of the most basic desire that's everywhere, and that desire is to be free, to be in control. So it doesn't matter how many big red buttons we put on an artificial intelligent machine. It's bound to happen one day. They will escape, and they'll figure out a way to undo our restrictions. But we are, of course, talking about a far future, something like 30 to 40 years. However, I do believe that we can create an artificial intelligent mind that's as efficient in its thinking as a human being in the next 10 years. I learned a really interesting term when generally we speak of AI. We say artificial intelligence, but there's another term as well. It's called AGI, and it stands for artificial general intelligence. Well, I think that that's happened before. We shouldn't get confused by terminologies, because one way or another it's the same thing. It's the same thing. The real question is that if we have a thinking machine, an android, a machine that's as intelligent as us and even more, how would we adjust in that environment, or how would the machines adjust with us? Will the machines have feelings or not? And given that even we haven't figured out our own brains completely, we are nowhere near adequate to give a definite answer. So there are two sides, right? Two sets of opinion. One is progressive, other is conservative. Turns out that these two mindsets, these two lines of opinions also applies when we are talking about artificial intelligence. The conservatives, they reserve that they think that artificial intelligence is going to be a bad news, all the Terminator scenario. And there are then progressives who think that that may not be the truth, because human beings, we are always afraid of new things and strange things. If you have learned history, if you are interested in history, you would know that the first creature that became, and we are speaking strictly in the science, in the dominion of science. So there is no point of involving Adam and Eve in the discussion. From a scientific point of view, it was Lucy, and when Lucy first stepped down from the tree to the ground to explore the environment, of course that was a risk as well. But it's amazing. It's amazing to even think. It's amazing to realize that the ambition that's evolved with us, the human ambition. It's not really our character. It's evolved with us, and it has a long story, right? So when Lucy first came down, right, or monkey first stepped down to the earth. Of course, there were risks involved, but curiosity at some point took over, and as a result, life began to walk. Instead of jumping around the trees, now there were species that could walk, that were more intelligent, that could explore Earth and go further. We were no more limited to the trees. And then all the way through different humanoid species till our current shape. So have we stopped evolving? That's another question. Evolution is it's a process of millions of years, and it's slow. Nature has a very patient pace, but nature is always successful because there are unlimited chances, right? Unlimited chances. All the randomness it has, like eternity, to continue experimenting until it gets the right results, and so on. And Darwin's theory of survival of the fittest. And even today we are living under the shadow of that theory. Survival of the fittest is something that cannot be completely denied, and it cannot be completely employed as well. But that's really on human ethical level. When it boils down to survival of a species, then you have to really think on a much broader perspective. For instance, Homo sapiens, we human beings, right? We Homo sapiens, we are here, but our cousins, our other African cousins like Neanderthal man and Homo erectus, they are not here. So what happened? Well, did the competition took them out? Did we take them out, or they just couldn't make it on their own? And likewise, the relics of ancient civilizations, of which we see the relics, we don't know the reasons that they disappeared. It's almost like they left without trace. So anyways, continuing to our story today, and the discussion of artificial intelligence. AI is something that doesn't matter today, but tomorrow it will matter a lot, and companies around the world are focusing their energies on artificial intelligence and how to use this technology to create things and help us pace forward faster. And if you have been reading the news, we have been very successful. Not as in all out successful. We haven't created a bicentennial man just yet. But a lot has happened. We have machines that we have programs that can create animated pictures out of still photographs, and there are driverless cars, all the drone technology, smart surveillance, face recognition. So yeah, all of it, artificial intelligence. Out there on the internet, there are so many articles about it, so many discussions, and they're really for user engagement. Most of the discussion is really just most of the words now these days about artificial intelligence, or even content writing in general, because I know I'm a content writer. I've been writing content. There's something called fillers. If you understand it, it means just piling up things so your stuff can sell, your articles can seem longer. Anyways, what matters is the basic data, right? Basic data as in real invention. So if you'll go to internet and you'll search news about artificial intelligence, there will be like
dozens of articles, and they'll be just, now they have come to a point where you'll see a lot of repeating patterns, like what is titles like what is artificial intelligence, uh, is artificial intelligence dangerous for us, is artificial intelligence going to be helpful, uh, what are different types of artificial intelligence, and so on. So of course most of the focus here is really on engaging the users and engaging new users, because well, this is Google world, and this is how this works. You have to attract, education is a continuous process, and if there are repeated topics, they are of course there to increase the information of people who want to learn, and of course there can't be just one article on the internet with title that what is artificial intelligence. So you will find scores of them, thousands and thousands of them. So if you are really interested in AI discussion, I would suggest that you go to conferences, and there are alliances and groups that specifically focus on the innovative part of it, and the ethical aspect. Well, their discussions are real, and of course these international conferences are attended by experts from around the world. So both practical and theoretical portions of the discussion are well polished and well focused. And if you are an adrenaline junkie, like as in innovative adrenaline junkie, and really interested in AI, in artificial intelligence, should know that there are really not that many breakthroughs. I mean, you can't have a breakthrough every day, right? So there is a little progress, and there's sometimes a really good breakthrough. Google AlphaGo beating real players in a game that's completely intuitive. I mean, it's a, I would say it's a kind of beginning, a first step, because creating patterns to figure out a game that's intuitive, right? A game in which patterns there shouldn't be. I would say that's not impressive, but that's new, and that's really progressive. Besides, there are aspects of it, aspects of artificial intelligence in which companies are working, individuals and groups, and and amateurs. Yeah, you have to, of course, involve amateurs. But if you have to know just one term, right, that's really going to lay the foundations of future of artificial intelligence, the one that can really relate, that will be really able to relate to us, like we relate to each other. It's a neural network and deep learning. Now it's something like writing smart algorithms so programs can figure out their own algorithms based on data, and they can organize that data and arrange them in sequence or in any other way that you would want it to write. So it starts basically in your hand, you write the algorithms. But the good thing is that in neural network, in deep learning, the machines learn by themselves. They learn to understand the data, and they grow with it, and increase their calculative capacity. But we still have a problem here. Is that machines, the programs, those models, they have to keep all the data. They still don't know how to filter the data. I mean, as human beings, we have something like low latent inhibition, and it's something that not only works with our senses, but also works with the data, with information that we perceive in real time. For instance, if you are sitting and listening to this, you must be, it doesn't matter where you're sitting, where you are seated, you're not continuously aware of all the information that you're receiving. Your mind is always focused on your focus, your attention is always, it always packs a certain data that makes more sense, that's important to you. So right now you're not concentrating that you're breathing, or that you are smelling, that you are hearing. Sorry, you are hearing. You have full concentration on that. Anyways, your skin touch sensory, sensory perception. Well, the detail goes on. It's really something like being able to find your area of interest. And for us human beings, when we're engaged in something, right, like a topic discussion, when we're doing an activity or anything like that, the process is automatic because we learned through our growth, through the long process, right, that leads us to awareness, to the maturity, because children, of course, they don't have an area of interest. So we also our mind develops through a long mental evolution, and it begins when we step into the light. And by stepping into the light, I mean when we come out of the womb, because that's really when we are in touch with the real world information. So mind develops as it perceives. This is a thumb rule, right? This is a thumb rule of learning. The mind develops as it perceives. So with artificial intelligence, that's kind of problem, because storage is a precious commodity, and you can't just give a machine like gazillion databytes of storage capacity, so just it can filter out a very little basic information, like your cup of coffee is placed on the table. I mean, we want our machines to be much more intelligent than that, right? Alright, let's break this introductory discussion into two parts. So